Welcome to Noble Manhattan, USA East Coast Coaching Support Group. We do this meeting every month on the second Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And welcome to joining us today. We have a fantastic session ahead of us today. I hope you have your notepad and your pen available and ready taking some notes. So before we get into the session, I know some of you are coaches, some of you are coaching students, and some people are just interested in what coaching is about, and you are in the right place. Noble Manhattan was established in 1993 by our CEO, Gerard O'Donovan, and has trained over 25,000 people worldwide. And Noble Manhattan is the leading coach training company in Europe, and they are still expanding. And so we are the USA arm of Noble Manhattan. And what is our purpose? So we discuss and exchange information. We come together to practice coaching and to do mastermind sessions, and of course, to hear fantastic speakers, which we have one tonight. Before we get into the session, I'd just like to introduce my fellow coaches here. So Dr. Maria Tedim, who is going to be presenting tonight, but as well as Petra Butler, Michael Vascanis, and Emily Thompson, and myself, Beatrice Phillips, and we're all coaches trained through Noble Manhattan. And we just wanted to put a shout out. Noble Manhattan USA is going to offer their first ever coaching masterclass, which will be January 23rd and 24th for 2 days. It's $300 US. And so if you are already coach and you want to refresh your memory and practice with other certified coaches, or if you are a coach student, you are welcome to join those master classes. Unfortunately, right now, we do not have a link to sign up, but we will put one in the newsletter going out. So mark the date, January 23rd and 24th, 2021, to join the master class for 2 days, and it will be 8 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time each day. Okay, next slide. You can, I hope everyone knows you have these reactions on the bottom of your screen. So you can give us a thumbs up or a clap, or if you want to say something. Maria, during the session, would you like people to just put something in the chat or put up their hands?
No, just use the chat mainly because I probably won't be able to see all of them, all of the hands.
Okay, fantastic. So use the chat, everyone, today. And I'm going to hand it over to Emily to introduce our speaker for tonight.
Hi, I am Emily Thompson, and I'm going to be introducing our speaker today, Dr. Maria Tedim. And Dr. Maria Tedim is a lifestyle performance coach. She's very passionate about preventative medicine and vitality. Her mission is to help people understand that they can live a lifestyle that can prevent both aging and disease, as well as promote their growth as individuals by enhancing their physical and mental capabilities. She has been studying medicine for over 10 years, during which she earned her master's and PhD in cancer research. While working as a researcher, she had an eye-opening experience with her own health journey, which led her to shift career paths and leave the pharmaceutical research behind, and instead become an advocate for prevention. She now uses her expertise in the field of preventative medicine together with laser-focused coaching to help high achievers feel like $1 million and nothing less than great. She's a travel junkie and has lived in 3 different countries, which she believes is one of the best ways to promote self-development and growth. And now I'm going to hand it over to Maria.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly before we start. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me just open the chat so I can see the chat is hidden now. Okay, perfect. Oops. Just a second. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining today. We really appreciate those who are coming back, who are regulars, but we also welcome anyone who's new. And we really hope that you find something useful from what you're going to learn today. And we hope that we also see you in the next couple of sessions that we're going to have throughout the year. So first, I just want to ask everyone to please put your phones away, or any distractions that you may have, put them aside. Let's try not to multitask, because there's a lot of things that you could learn today that can improve the way you run your life and improve and achieve your goals. So what I would like everyone to also have is a pen and a paper. And if you prefer, just use your computer, as this is going to be interactive, and I want us to actually set some goals today with the techniques that we're going to learn. So that's the best way to learn in my experience. So if there's any questions, like I said, I'm going to actually handle the chat and my call at the same time if I miss something. Otherwise, we'll just do some Q&A at the end. So the reason why we wanted to, first of all, use this topic today is because obviously it is a new year, and we're all thinking, how are we going to, achieve all the things that we have in our mind? How can I make sure that I'm going to be successful while I'm trying to achieve them? So we're going to share a lot of techniques today that if you use them, there is guarantee that these can be achievable, but you have to also put in the work. So let's just remind ourselves really quickly why goal setting is really important, and why we all need to be setting goals for every area of your lives. Because if you're not doing so, it's really time to start, because goals pretty much equals to the way you can succeed. So if you don't have a goal, you really are lacking focus and direction towards whatever you're doing with your life. Goal setting not only just allows you to take control of your life's direction, but it will also provide you a benchmark for determining whether you're actually succeeding or you're not. So think about it this way. For example, having $1 million in a bank is only really proof of success if one of your goals is to have a lot of wealth, for example. But if your goal is to practice, let's say, charity, having all that money in the bank for yourself and not doing anything with it is the opposite of what you would define as success. So to accomplish goals, we have to do much more than just say, I want to achieve this, or I want that to happen next year. Because if we just do that and we expect it to happen, I guarantee you that it will never happen. So there is actually a process, and we need to know how to set them first of all, because believe it or not, only 8% of people actually achieve their goals. It's kind of a shocking statistics in my opinion, but if you really think about it, I think that we all agree with these statistics, because how many times have you said, next year I'm going to improve my health for sure, next year I'm going to finally get that raise that I deserve, next year I'm going to improve my work-life balance. So these are all great goals to have, but are they really aligned with what we really want? And do we actually take the time to consider how to make them happen and set up a plan for them? And most of the times why this doesn't work is because we're setting goals that are doomed to fail. So we're setting unrealistic goals, first of all. We highly underestimate the time that it's going to take to complete a certain goal. We are setting goals that are, other people's views of or how we should live our lives. We're living through other people's expectation of us, how the society expects us to behave. And also, once we actually engage in a goal, we tend to not even review our progress. So we never tend to move forward with our goals. And we also tend to set negative goals, and we do way too many things at the same time. I definitely am to blame for a lot of these things. I would love to know in the chat if any of you, have ever faced a goal that you didn't achieve because of some of these reasons. So feel free to use the chat. It will give me a little boost as well. And the reason why all of this happens is because obviously these goals are not realistic towards ourselves. So goal setting is a process that actually starts with careful consideration of what you want to do and what you want to achieve, and ends with a lot of hard work. This is something that people don't like, but it exists. So don't just think that having the perfect methodology to setting goals will get you there. Hard work is also going to be necessary. And there's also a lot of well-defined steps that will allow you to formulate goals that you can actually accomplish that we're going to go through today, which brings me to what we're actually going to talk about, which is the 5 golden rules for setting great life goals that you can actually achieve. All right. The first golden rule, setting Uber goals. What does that mean, Via? Just looking at the chat.
Oh, setting goals so sky high, like shooting for the stars, hoping to land on the moon.
Yes, that's not also, I'm going to talk about that, but that will be a, let's say, impossible goal, probably, depending on where. Anyway, let me continue. So the first golden rule is to actually set goals that motivate you. And you're probably thinking, obviously, I have to set a goal that motivates me for me to want to do it. But that's not really what I meant. For example, it's not as simple as just feeling motivated when you first think of the goal or write the goal. When you set goals for yourself, it's really important that they motivate you to the core. And this means that you're making sure that they are important for you and they bring value when you achieve them. So if you have very little interest in the outcome of the goal, or if the goal is kind of irrelevant in the big picture of what you want to achieve from life, then the chances of you, putting in the work to actually make them happen is going to be very slim. So motivation and commitment are really key to achieving goals. So you need to be setting goals that are relating to the highest priorities in your life. They should be relevant to the direction that you want your life and career to take, because by keeping goals that are aligned with this, you're going to develop that focus that I was talking about that you need to get to really, go ahead and do what you want. Because without this type of focus, you can end up, number one, with way too many goals in your list. Usually we have a list that, looks like a grocery shop list. And you also end up with very little time to do all of those things in your list. So to maximize the likelihood of success, you need to feel a sense of urgency to your goals. You have to have this attitude that I must do this. There has to be this urgency for you to be successful with that goal. Because when we don't have this, you're risking you're putting off the things that you need to do, and you're gonna start procrastinating too much, and this in turn is gonna leave you to feeling really demotivated, if that's a word, disappointed, frustrated with yourself, which in the end is gonna lead you to this broken mindset of I can't do anything, or I can't be successful because I'm not achieving my goals. And this is because, again, the goals are not aligned with your purpose or your higher self. So let's just quickly recap this slide. And next time you set a goal, go for your deepest dreams, go for your deepest desires, your passions, and let's say your calling. Don't let the voice in your head or self-talk tell you that it's impossible or it's too complicated, etc., all of those things, because if you don't set that goal, you will never do what you are actually meant to do, in this planet. So your goal needs to be worthy enough for when you actually face a challenge, you're going to find that strength, you're going to find that drive and that motivation to keep going. So I have two little tips here. So I've seen this in a lot of people, and I also faced it myself. If you are at a stage in life where you don't know what your true high priorities are in life, or you don't know what you want to achieve in life, I highly recommend that you do a value elicitation exercise first before you start setting goals in any areas of your life. Because if you don't know what your core values are, you're going to be flip-flopping with your goals. You're going to probably be setting goals that are not in alignment with who you are. You're going to be setting goals that are superficial, that are traditional, that are what you think you should be doing, that are what society wants you to achieve. So do this exercise first before you write your goals, and you can probably find a value elicitation exercise online, or what would be best would be to work with a coach that allows you to find out what your core values are. Then the second tip is, once you're ready to write your own goal, once you're writing it down, also write, for example, below it, why it's valuable and important to you as well. Ask yourself, for example, if I was to share this with someone else, a friend, how would I convince them that this is a worthwhile goal? And then you can use this motivational statement that you just came up with to help you if you start doubting yourself or losing confidence in your ability to actually make that goal happen. So right now, I want you actually to take that pen and paper and pick an area of your life where you want to set a goal that you want to achieve. That can be literally anything. It can be health, career, relationships, learning, let's say spirituality, anything, and I want you to pick that area. So take a moment to think of which one do you want and write a goal that you want to achieve. Take a couple of seconds to write that. Obviously, we're not going to do a value elicitation exercise because we don't have the time, but if you're confused and you don't know what to write, just try to find the goal that you think that you want to achieve just for the purpose of this exercise. Okay, so does everybody have a goal that they want to achieve written down? Just give me a yes on the chat, or if I can see your faces, a thumbs up if someone wants to put their camera on. Perfect, thank you, Via. All right, also write some keywords on the side to why this goal is important for you. So why is this something you want to achieve? You don't have to write a full paragraph, just write keywords that come up to your head right away of why this is important to you. All right, so the second golden rule is to set SMART goals. So you probably heard of SMART goals, especially if you are a coach or you're training to be one. So for goals to be really powerful, they need to be in this formula of SMART goals. So SMART really can have like a variation of meanings, but the goal kind of needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be action-oriented, realistic, as well as time-framed. So let's start, let's actually do this together. And we're gonna take the goal that you've just written and we're gonna test and see if the goal is actually SMART. And if not, don't worry, we're gonna transform it. Okay, so the first one is specific. So the S in SMART stands for specific. Your goal here needs to be clear and very well defined. So vague or generalized goals are really unhelpful because they won't provide sufficient direction for you to be able to continue to try to achieve them. So remember that the goals kind of show you the way. So make it as easy as you can to really get where you want to go by defining precisely where you want to end up. So here's an example of a really unclear goal that a lot of people actually put in their, New Year's resolution. I want to be rich. So this could really mean anything to anyone. Like what is rich to you can mean completely different thing to me. So there's no direction here to where you actually want to end up. And therefore you cannot even see if you're progressing like along the year. So a really good, clear and directional goal that would substitute that would be in 12 months, sorry. I thought I changed slide, but I didn't. But in 12 months, I want to be making 50K per month. So now, this is very directional, and you have a sense of, okay, 50K per month means that I have to, let's say, achieve X amount of money per month. So in 12 months, I have 50K per month for sure. So this gives you a sense of direction and, the steps that you need to take to get there. So if you look at the goal that you have in your paper right now, is it specific? Is it specific enough? Is it directional? Give me like a thumbs up or a yes in the chat if you need to improve it or if it's already specific enough. He said, I got it, Regina, before. Thank you for sharing. Anyone got that? Thank you, Bia. Thank you, Myra. Okay, great. So your goal is specific. So then what we need to do is also make it measurable. So to make your goal measurable, you need to include precise amounts, dates, and stuff like that, so on. So your goal needs to be measurable so that also you can, track your success or track your achievement. So if your goal, for example, is simply defined as what I put here, I want to be a better person, or let's say another one, I want to be healthy, how will you be able to know when you've been successful? Because in 1 month's time or in a year time, how are you going to measure your progress if you don't have any, measure that you set for that goal? Also, without a way to measure your success, you also miss out on the celebration that comes with knowing that you actually have achieved something, which is very important to keep the motivation up. So a good way to change that goal that I just talked about would be, instead of, I want to be a better person, I want to donate 2% of my income to a different charity every month. So this goal not only is measurable, but is very specific. So every month, you know that if you're not doing that, or you're not trying to do that, you're not getting close to achieving that goal. So now again, look at that goal that you have in your paper. Is it measurable? Is it something that you can track your progress? If not, you know what to do. Make it measurable. Put it in a way where every month or every week you can measure your progress. All right. Give you a couple of moments to think about it. Is it measurable? Give me a thumbs up again if you want to just put a little yes in the chat. Yes, perfect, Bia. On track, we're all on track. Thank you, Candace. Brilliant. Everyone's on the right track. So the next part is action-oriented. So your goal, this is kind of one of the most important parts. Your goal needs to be able to be separated into steps, to take daily, to take monthly, to take yearly, depending as well on how long-term the goal is. A plan is actually one of the most crucial parts because, like you see here, probably heard the sentence before, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And if you don't take action, it will never happen. It will continue to be a dream. So here right now, we're not going to take the time to write the steps down, but after this call or even with your other 2021 goals, just take the time to write step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 for that goal to be able to happen. Then we have realistic. So this one is important because we need to make sure that it's possible to achieve that goal that you just set. If you set a goal that you have no hope of achieving, then you're going to demoralize yourself and you're going to destroy your confidence. However, on the other side, you also can't be making goals that are very, very easy to achieve, because accomplishing a goal that you didn't have to work hard for or even have to work anything for can actually make you fear setting other goals, because you will fear that you will not be able to achieve the other goals because they're harder than what you just achieved. So by setting a realistic but yet challenging goal is where you want to hit. So here's an example of an unrealistic goal. Imagine that you've never exercised and you set a goal like this. I want to run a marathon with only 1 week of preparation. I mean, you're either a machine and you're doing this like robotically, or you're literally like setting yourself up for failure as well as plenty of damage. So you would need to change that to something that makes a lot more sense with your current reality. A better and more realistic way then would be for someone who just started exercise, for example, it would be I want to run 5 kilometers 10 minutes faster than I did before, let's say in a month. So this now is very realistic, is difficult enough, but not impossible to achieve. So then again, let's go back to your goal. Is your goal difficult? Or is it really easy? Is it really difficult? What is your goal telling you? Am I impossible to achieve? Am I setting myself for failure within the time that I gave myself to do this? How is your goal looking? Tell me in the chat. Is it difficult? Is it a balanced goal? Does it look easy? Do you need to change that? Realistic for candidates. Perfect, candidates. Very good. Thank you for answering. Okay, I'll move on. Realistic for Mara too. Awesome. And lastly, we have time framed. Again, this you probably already have there, but we want our goals to be time framed, meaning they have a deadline. Like Gerard O'Donovan, the CEO of Noble Manhattan, says all the time, a goal without a timeline is just a dream. So having a time frame really helps you plan the milestones that you need to achieve along the way that will keep you on track. So this also means that you know when you can celebrate success, which is really important and motivational, especially when your goal is really long term. And also, when you're working on a deadline, just by having that deadline, you're going to have this sense of urgency again that I talked about, important in goals. It's going to make achievement come much more easier that way than if you don't have that sense of urgency. So do you know by when you want to achieve the goal that you just wrote down on your paper? Do you have a timeline? Is it a short-term goal? Is it a long-term goal? If you don't have a timeline, think about it right now. By when do I want this goal to be achieved? Is it in a week? Is it in a month? Is it in a year? Just gonna give you a couple of seconds for to look at it. Having a sip of water. Okay. So now that your goal is also time framed, we can move up to the third golden rule of goal setting. So that was the second rule. The whole thing was the second rule. So that was, I highly recommend that anytime you set a new goal or you want to achieve a new goal, that you go through that formula of the SMART method, so you can make sure that this is really something that you can achieve and is not, too easy, too difficult, etc. So the third golden rule is to write your goals down. And I know this seems very, obvious, but the physical act of writing that goal down makes it real and it makes it tangible. And you have really no excuse to forgetting about it because it exists written down somewhere. Also, as important as you're writing your goal, make sure that you use words like I will instead of I would like to or I might. For example, I will reduce my business expenses by 10% this year instead of I would like to reduce my business expenses by 10% this year. So the first goal statement has power. You can really see, like by saying I will, you can kind of visualize yourself doing it. But the second one lacks passion and kind of gives you that excuse to not continue to do it if you really get sidetracked. I also want to share something important because I wrote I will instead of I am. There's another way of writing goals down, and that is to write your goals in the present tense. So our subconscious mind cannot really distinguish between reality and fantasy or even right or wrong. So it usually accepts any verbal input that you give yourself as an absolute truth. So the argument here to use the present is that you can really induce subconscious change only by kind of communicating to the only language that the subconscious kind of knows, which is the present. So by feeding your mind with the idea that what you desire already exists will kind of enhance like your awareness for opportunities around you that kind of consist with the goal that you want to achieve. So I wanted to put that out there. So it's kind of up to you to decide the way you want to write them, but it seems that to write them in the present tense has a more impactful, is more impactful to your subconscious. So here's a little tip to when you are writing them down, is to make sure as well that you visualize what they look like, as well as you feel the positive outcomes that it will bring to your life. And a really, really good way of doing that is my favorite way at the moment, which is something that I didn't even believe in before I tried it, is a vision board. And that is simply a board that you create with what you want from life with images. And again, like I mentioned before, it's important that your vision board should also focus on how you want to feel and not just on the things that you want. So again, visualization is one of the most powerful mind exercises that you can do. Like whether you believe it or not, like it definitely works. And actually Olympic athletes have been using this as a way to improve their performance before they go on their competitions. Regina says that she loves vision boards. Yes, so do I. I literally have one right now in front of me in my home screen, my computer screen. So actually, I'm going to jump into that. You can either just do one, like, an old school one with magazine cutouts and put it like in your wall or whatever you want. Or you can do what I did, which is build it on your computer and then put it as your home screen or your screensaver. And every day I have to look at it. So every day when I open my computer, I am reminded of what I am working for. This made me procrastinate less, and I'm more motivated overall because I'm constantly reminded of what I truly want to achieve. And I think that this has made a great impact on my, let's say, daily performance. So I recommend it to everyone who's feeling, unmotivated, is procrastinating a lot. So either you do a vision board or not, still post your goals, even just your sentences that you wrote for your goals, in visible places around your house. Because so put them in the walls, put them in your computer, put them in your bathroom mirror. Some people write them in the bathroom mirror, in your refrigerator, whatever you want. Because I guarantee you that during your journey to achieving those goals, you're gonna have many distractions. You're gonna have shiny opportunities that are gonna derail you from that goal. So you kind of need to be reminded every day. And a great way to do that is to put them everywhere you look. So you're really burning your brain with those goals that you really want to achieve. Oh, and if you choose to write them down on a journal, it's important that you choose a journal that kind of like evokes passion, a journal that you want to pick up and look at it every day. Because if you're going to write it on a piece of paper in a journal and put it back in your drawer and it's going to get dusty, I guarantee you those goals are not going to see the end of the year. You're not going to be able to achieve them either. All right, so 2 little tips here for framing your goals. Number 1 is make sure that they are positive. So use positive words like I will, I am, or I do, if you choose to use the present tense again, because every word has major impact on your subconscious mind, which again will be either your best ally or your worst enemy, if I'm saying that correctly. So choose carefully what you say, not only to your goals but also to yourself. So look back on the goal that you just wrote down in your paper and see if it's framed in a positive way or is it in a negative way. If it's in a negative way, make sure to change it to a positive one. And then the tip number 2 is to always put your goal at the top of your to-do lists. All of my to-do lists have the original goal of the to-do list on top. So again, I'm always reminded of that goal. These are little tips here and there that make a huge difference because they are impacting your everyday actions. Someone who doesn't have, for example, a vision board is not aware of what they want to achieve every day as much as that person that would have the vision board would. So at the end of the day, that person that has a vision board can maybe achieve their goals, let's say 3 months faster than the other one who doesn't. So all of these little tips for me are crucial and they've made a difference in my life. That's why I'm also suggesting them. So then the 4th golden rule, we go back to the action-oriented part of goal setting. This step is actually, you'll be surprised, is often missed because you get really focused on the outcome that you want. So you forget to plan all these little steps that are needed along the way. So by writing out these individual steps that you need to take, plus crossing out each step as you go, you'll realize that you're making progress and you're feeling as well a little bit more motivated to get to like that last piece of the timeline. This is especially important as well if your goal is big and is very demanding, or even really long term. Some goals have long-term goals would be like 3 years long. So if this is a goal that you have, doing that is important so that you feel a sense of achievement and motivation as you go. Another important step is actually to make sure that you review them monthly or weekly. You need to see where you are failing or where you are falling behind and why. And then you need to adjust your goal achieving steps based on that performance that you just reviewed. And also don't be afraid to adapt that original sentence of the goal that you wrote, because you change as a person. Life changes, so you don't have to stick to the same format of that goal. Don't be afraid to adapt the language that you use in the goal. Right, and then a tool for goal setting. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. There's one tool that I use called Trello. It's pretty much just a software that you use, and I find it perfect for the action plan of my goals. And I just want to show you how it looks. So you pretty much have a board, right? And each board has mini boards. And what I do for my action plan, this is just a random plan that I made up for the purpose of this call, is that I put short-term goals in a mini board, medium-term goals in another mini board, and then long-term goals. And for each of them, of the board, I add all of my, I stack all of my goals for that specific, time. And then what you can do in Trello is open that little goal that you just wrote, and you'll have a huge document where you write all of the steps for each of the goal. So I find this the best and most efficient way for me. If you have another way to actually, do an action plan for goals, please share it on the chat. I would love to know other softwares or other ways that people are doing this. But Trello also has a lot of other benefits, which is, for example, you can put due dates. You can share it with team members. You can add, urgency colors, like, the green that you see there. It means like, for example, those 2 tasks are more urgent than the ones that are below if there was more. So I just wanted to share this little software because I find it really useful for me. Okay. And again, Trello isn't one tool. And the other one is also, as you're building that list, all of those short-term goals, long-term goals, etc., make sure that you are also anticipating your roadblocks. So it's important that you also make that list because you are going to encounter them, either you want it or not. So if you predict them, you can make a contingency plan for them, and you'll be able to overcome them much better. So overall as well, the most important part about that is to be mentally prepared to face whatever it is that you need to face, and to also commit to finding a solution even before that happens. So that makes a really big difference for those who actually do contingency plans versus those who don't. And lastly, this is the last rule, and it's very obvious, but it's just to stick with it. I want you to remember that goal setting is an ongoing activity, okay? It's not just a means to an end. I want you, for example, to build in reminders to keep yourself on track, and make regular times available for you to review your goals weekly, to review your goals monthly. Like, your end destination, which is your goal, will remain the same. However, the action plan you set will for sure change significantly along the way. So this is really important to do. Set those times apart to keep track of your goals. And then also make sure that these goals stay relevant, that these goals are a necessity for your life. Again, they need to align with your core values. If something changes in your life and that goal no longer aligns with you, put it behind and don't look at it again, because you probably going to feel frustrated that you didn't achieve it, or it's just not going to bring you happiness and motivation once you do achieve it. So that's pretty much it for this talk. By following these 5 golden rules, you can set goals with confidence, or you should set goals with confidence, and you also will be enjoying the satisfaction of, the satisfaction that comes along with knowing that you are achieving what you set out to do. Sorry. So if anyone has any questions, or if you would like to, whatever, for some reason, contact me, just use this email, and I'll get back to you. Oh, thank you, Myra. Thank you so much. Regina says magnets on the fridge. Yes, magnets on the fridge work with, if you have like a picture of something you want to be reminded of, like for example, a dream house, use that. Use magnets on the fridge for whatever your image is. So one thing that I do want to do before we end is, does anyone want to share their new and improved goal from using, the SMART method? Does anyone want to unmute themselves and share what they first had, and if they had to change it, how it looked like? Oops, sorry. If not, that's okay. Just wanted to see.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
Hi. But let me just change the way I'm viewing this, because I'm not seeing the person who's talking. Is it Myra? Yeah. Hi, Myra.
Well, I had originally seen that smart sheet in the course, and so I've been really trying to apply. I mean, not with the details that you have and the tips that you have set, but I've just been really being realistic, being on top every week. I go back and I check where I'm at, and set realistic goals, and like I'm using a time frame of 3 months, and I've given myself, instead of setting myself 3 work goals, I've given myself 1 work goal, 1 personal goal, and 1 educational goal, just like goals that don't intertwine. Mm-hmm. But that I still feel that I can set goals for my health, goal for working around the house in some projects, and then goals for the work that I'm doing, but I don't have 3 work jobs going on, or 3 personal things going on. I only have 1, and that's been really helpful, because I just always go back to those 3, and it calms me, to know that I'm not all over the place.
Indeed. That's something that setting too many goals with too many things all at the same time, and trying to, let me work on my relationship goals at the same time as my health goals, at the same time as my career goals, it becomes so overwhelming that we end up not achieving any. So it's really good that we take time. Okay, what's more important right now? My health, my career, or my relationship? Let me focus on one at a time. A lot of the times, this is the best way to go, because people will succeed because they only have to put their energy in one at a time. But I also know people who are like high achievers and do everything at the same time, but they end up burning out. So at the same time, I don't know what's better, to achieve everything and then burning out, or achieve something with longer time and not burning out. I think I will take the second one. So definitely that's great that you found that for you, that it works by, working on less things at the same time. And what did you, you said that.
But like, at the same time, for example, no matter what, like right now I'm trying to work, I have to work, right, for a living. So, and then at the same time, we have to take care of our health, right? And as I am applying little by little the Hippocrates lifestyle into my life, and I feel that within 6 months, 7 months into it, I've achieved a lot. There are still things that I know I have to tweak. So I set little goals within that, but that are part of our lives. Like we have to, eat, we have to drink more water, or we have to, so those are the goals that, like, smaller goals within, within a things that we have to do. Like, for example, organizing the house is something that is difficult for me, or like that's normally like my last priority, but I know that I have to dedicate some time to it daily, so it's not the biggest goal, but I say, okay, half an hour in the morning, I'm always going to dedicate that time. And so I've I've so it makes me feel that I'm also working on that, and not, but my bigger goal, of course, like the working goal, but I also call goals being able to achieve smaller things that are what keeps us healthy in our lifestyle, because when you work in a clean, organized environment, you're going to feel better too. And so that I put that as a personal goal, so I'm not working on 800 goals, but on goals that we do have to incorporate in our lives every day to feel good, to feel complete. Is that like, are you working on a personal goal, like drinking more water? That's a goal, right?
Yes, but how I see it is not like a separation of, let's say, areas of my life. So for example, if drinking more water is going to bring me, or let's say it's going to put my brain sharper, then I'm going to work faster for my actual career goal. So they're blending together. So for example, let's say I want to what is it? I want to, like, oh my gosh, I can't find a goal now. career goal. So imagine you have a goal and you're focusing on your career goal, but if you forget your health, then like your goal for your career goal is not gonna go as fast, because your performance of your body and mind are not sharp, are not 100%. So you're slowing it down. So like you said, it's not maybe seeing it as so separate, but seeing it as steps that are in alignment with the top goal, which is, like, let's say, the career goal. That's how I see it. But if you want to share something that has worked really well for you in terms of, like achieving something or keeping motivation, please do so. If I haven't mentioned it, I'll be more than happy to know about it.
Thank you.
Bia has asked, what tips do you have for someone to figure out if is really their own goal and not the one programmed into their head? Example, family, society, etc. Like have kids, achieve success. Like I said, Bia, in the beginning, you need to know your core values to really know what's your higher self wants. When you know that, then you know what your goals are going to be. Until you figure that out, you're probably going to be living by what other people want from you. Like you're going to be still feeling that pressure of having that kids. Let's say I'm 35. I don't have kids. Like I feel like I'm a failure. When at the end of the day, you don't even want kids. So it's really finding that core values, that getting that exercise in, really, really looking deep and seeing what's your biggest desire. So working with a coach on core values was a big thing for me. Actually, me and Bia worked together on that, and I figured out my core values with Bia, which is really good, Bia. Thank you. Okay, anyone else has any other questions? Let's see if I missed something. Are you moving to Seattle? I don't know if it was for me, Bia, but probably someone else. Okay, so we don't have any more questions. If anyone has any other questions, just feel free to say so. Otherwise, I'll pass it on to Michael. You're welcome, Candice. Thank you so much for coming.
Anybody have any more questions for Maria? Dr. Maria is here. She's all yours. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Regina. That's a really nice compliment. Thank you so much.
So when do you decide to reset your goals? Like sometimes things, especially with Corona, right? Like things become so out of sorts. When do you take the time to reset? What makes you, or when do you get to the point to say, hey, I need to reset now?
I think that you probably answered your own question. Is you feel it. It's like I need to reset. These goals no longer are in alignment with what's happening with my reality. Let me sit down, look at them, and see how can I change them to, for me to be able to be happy with what I want. But again, Petra, it's if something like the coronavirus situation happens and it ruins everyone's life, then you do have to sit down and think steps. It's like the contingency plan. Like, what can I do right now? This is like kind of something, a bomb was put in my lap. How can I deactivate that bomb? But if that wasn't happening, looking at your goals weekly or monthly will prevent you from being like, I have to reset it because nothing's working. Because if you're always looking at it and you're tweaking as you go, you don't really have to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Maria. Great job.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
What if you are not a visual person and, for instance, a vision board wouldn't work for you necessarily?
Oh, that's a really good question. Do you have anything that you would like to share about that? Feels like it's come from a place of experience.
No, I'm totally visual.
Okay. Maybe there is tools of affirmations, someone reading affirmations out loud for you. So you write them down in a like visual impaired tool. So like you would use Braille on your computer to write it down, and then that software will read it out for you every day. And let's say you take 5 minutes in the morning to let that software tell you what your affirmations are. I don't know, something I would definitely have to look for it.
Okay, yeah, I'm just curious because in coaching I've run into some people that are kinesthetic, so they don't visualize, they're not auditory either. And I'm just thinking, what about those people? How would you have them focus on their goal?
Regina said, journal your affirmations and goals. Writing is magical. So writing would work for those people that you just mentioned? Is that it?
Most likely not.
Okay.
I don't know. When you're writing, yeah, Michael, go ahead. What's your take on that?
There's just something I could add in there is normally people that aren't visual or they're not connecting with the writing or the visual. Sometimes you can spend some serious time with them to get in connection to how it would feel if they accomplished what they're thinking. And once they established a feeling, they can actually program themselves to rehearse that feeling whenever they want, essentially, so they can like store that memory in themselves. But because they're not a visual, it's actually stored as more of like a feeling. And then you could attach it to something. So if they see something, hear something, write something down, it's tied into a feeling, which normally people like that are a little disconnected from some of their visual senses in general. So it allows them to tie that in from like the inside out.
Thank you, Michael. That makes sense. What do you think about that, Bia? For the people that you were talking about?
Yeah, I was just thinking that they have to experience the feeling. So you could coach them into experiencing those emotions or feelings, and then probably add a trigger to it. When I say trigger, like pinch yourself and then feel happy. Well, you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'll add a trigger. Yeah.
All right, well, if there are no other questions for Dr. Maria for the night, I would like to thank her for the presentation and being here, and everybody that came. We are going to move into breakout sessions, and Beatrice is going to get them rolling. So everybody stand by. We're going to go into virtual rooms.